Sondheim's apprenticeship as a composer and lyricist included the 4 musicals assigned by his mentor Oscar Hammerstein and 1 or 2 others. His journeymanship began with being a co-lyricist to West Side Story and the lyricist for Gypsy. My name is Dr. Dominique Royam, and I'm a music director, conductor, and music communicator here to help you achieve a deeper connection to the music you love. Follow me on social media at Dominique Royam for more content. Let's investigate the early musicals by this master artist. If you would like to learn about Sondheim's early life and his relationship to Oscar Hammerstein, check out the previous video in this series, linked in the description box and above. After Gypsy, Sondheim wanted a project where he could write the lyrics and compose the music. He did not want to be pigeonholed as a lyricist again. Bert Sherlove floated the idea of making a musical farce around some of the ancient Roman writer Plautus's domestic plays. Sherlove shared some books with Sondheim, and soon Sondheim was as enthusiastic about the project as Sherlove. Larry Gelbart came on as co-author. They shopped the project around to many producers and directors. Hal Prince turned them down, saying that he hated farces. Jerry Robbins agreed to direct but backed out via letter from Greece. Sherlove and Sondheim decided to ask George Abbott, and he agreed. The show was Something Funny Happened on the Way to the Forum. This project was to be Sondheim's first Broadway score, and it was under a lot of ruthless reviews. Sondheim became uneasy about the score, so had his friend and playwright James Goldman review the score in the script. Goldman said that the book is written on a kind of a low comedy vaudeville level with elegant language, and you've written a witty score, a salon score. Sondheim was right to be nervous. Through this, Sondheim learned an important lesson. Make sure you and your collaborators are writing the same show. During tryouts in New Haven, the audience didn't think the show was funny. Jerry Robbins was brought in and said the show was killed by its opening number. Sondheim had written a number called Invocation that explained the farce to the audience, but the director, George Abbott, disliked it because he couldn't hum it. The replacement, a ballad, set the wrong tone for the show from the get-go. In the interest of diplomacy, Robbins suggested that Sondheim rework Invocation, which he did, to Comedy Tonight, the current opening number of the show. Let's listen to Comedy Tonight and see how the song invites you into the farcical space. Here's Nathan Lane in the 1996 revival.
Something familiar, something peculiar, something for everybody. Comedy Tonight. Something that's gaudy, something that's bawdy.
Something for everybody.
Comedy Tonight.
Nothing that's grim.
Nothing that's Greek.
She plays Medea later this week.
Stunning surprises, cunning disguises, hundreds of actors out of sight.
Pantaloons and tunics, courtesans and eunuchs,
Funerals and chases. Baritones and basses.
panderers, philanderers,
Cupidity,
timidity,
mistakes,
fakes, rhymes,
mimes, tumblers, grumblers, bumblers, bumblers, no royal curse, no Trojan horse, and a happy ending, of course. Goodness and madness, man in his madness, this time it all turns out all right. Tragedy tomorrow.
comedy. A comedy?
Comedy tonight.
1, 2, 3.
Musically speaking, Sondheim's score was genial and felicitous, but uneven. He was not nominated for the Tonys of Best Score or Best Lyrics that year, and everyone forgot to thank him during the speeches. However, shortly after opening, Sondheim received a letter from Frank Loesser, another king of musical theater, expressing how much he loved the score. 6 months before the opening of Forum, Sondheim and Lawrence decided to work together on an experimental musical along the lines of Rodgers and Hammerstein's flop Allegro. This show would be the flop anyone could whistle. Sondheim's score is a significant advance from Forum. Characters use the musical theater language to describe their psychological and emotional problems, and pastiche was used for irony. Angela Lansbury was cast in the show as her first musical. She tried immediately bowing out, but finally came into her own when a younger and less experienced male lead was used. The show suffered throughout out-of-town tryouts and opened on Broadway on April 4th, 1964. It closed after 9 performances because it could not get over the negative reviews in the papers. It was Sondheim's first certified flop. The next project was a collaboration with Arthur Laurents and Richard Rodgers, with Sondheim back in the lyricist role. The material was Laurents' play The Time of the Cuckoo, which had a successful run on Broadway. Laurents thought that Rodgers and Hammerstein would be the best duo to musicalize the play, but Hammerstein wanted to wait some time to let the movie of the play have a moment. On August 23, 1960, Oscar Hammerstein died from stomach cancer before they began the project. In Sondheim's last conversation with his mentor, Hammerstein asked Sondheim to look past his ambition to be a composer and work with Rodgers. Sondheim promised he would. The project that materialized was Do I Hear a Waltz? With Laurents' play, Rodgers composing, and Sondheim was the lyricist. The project started smoothly, with Rodgers and Sondheim working in tandem. However, the collaboration began to sour in out-of-town tryouts. The musical was not working. Sondheim said Jerry White protected Rodgers from the world. He was, sort of, his keeper. And Rodgers would come to a meeting in New Haven and say, "The trouble is the book and the lyrics." That's because they had kept the bad reviews about the music from him. Sondheim thought that White refused to show Rodgers bad reviews, so he didn't become depressed and go on a bender. Rodgers' drinking was increasingly a problem. He would hide in the men's restroom and drink between acts or during rehearsal. After Rodgers blasted some of Sondheim's lyrics in front of the company one day, saying, "This is shit, I'm not giving this to my singers," Sondheim said he was done. Rodgers also threatened to quit because he felt like Laurents and Sondheim were in league against him. On March 18, 1965, the musical opened on Broadway and ran for 220 performances, a modest hit. It was not the failure that Sondheim thought it was going to be. He said that Do I Hear a Waltz was what Mary Rodgers called a Y musical, a musical based on good source material, which has the dramatic power of that source material diluted by the addition of music. It was a dead show. It was very well done. It just had no vitality, no life. This project cooled down the friendship of Arthur Laurents and Sondheim. It did not rekindle until 1973, with Sondheim writing incidental music to Laurents' play The Enclave. It took another 5 years for a Sondheim musical to come back to Broadway. Sondheim had fits and starts to projects that kept failing for one reason or another. Sondheim was embroiled in a failed project called The Girl Upstairs when the wheels started turning on his next hit, Company. Hal Prince had been thinking about the disillusionment of marriage in modern times, and actor-turned-writer George Firth had been struggling with this idea as well. Firth's therapist told him to write about it, and he created a series of sketches about relationships in the modern era. Firth tried getting them staged as a straight play, but the producers could not get financing. Firth called Sondheim, and Sondheim said to take them to Prince. Prince thought they would be an excellent musical. When the three of them, Prince, Firth, and Sondheim, were trying to make all of the separate works a whole play, they realized each sketch was about a couple and a third person. They discovered that that third person could be the same person, and Company was born. The approach to the score was different in Company because Sondheim said that Firth's play had no lyrics in it. Each of the songs in Company stands alone as an emotional reaction or commentary on the action. Others, like The Ladies Who Lunch, are soliloquies. Sondheim disliked stopping the action for an authorial comment, but that was the only way Company works. Let's listen to The Ladies Who Lunch, performed by Patti LuPone in the concert performance to celebrate Sondheim's 80th birthday.
I'd like to propose a toast. Here's to the ladies who lunch. Everybody laugh. Lounging in their caftans and planning a brunch on their own behalf. Off to the gym than to a fitting claiming their fat and looking grim 'cause they've been sitting choosing a hat. Does anyone still wear a hat? I'll drink to that. Here's to the girls who stay smart, aren't they a gas? Rushing to their classes in optical art, wishing it would pass. Another long, exhausting day, another $1,000, a matinee, a pinter play, perhaps a piece of Mahler's. I'll drink to that. And one for Mahler.
Company opened on Broadway on April 26, 1970, and closed 2 years later after 705 shows, a certified hit. The critics were mixed about Sondheim's music, one reviewer saying, "On rehearing, Stephen Sondheim's elegantly intricate score deepens in sophistication, intelligence, and lyrical and musical inventiveness." The other reviewer for the New York Times called it slick, clever, and eclectic instead of emotionally stimulating. Company, as of 2021, is on its third Broadway revival. Work on Follies started soon after the opening of Company. Sondheim decided to repurpose some of the musical numbers from the girl upstairs, and the script was in shambles. The set had to be designed without knowing the final script or score, but that was an unavoidable problem. The theme of showgirls coming back to a theater that is being demolished was emphasized by the scene designer Boris Aronson. Rounding out the team was Hal Prince as writer, George Abbott as director, and Sondheim as composer-lyricist. The partnership between Prince and Sondheim came about naturally, with Prince in charge of the overall shape of the production and Sondheim concentrating on the integration of the book and the music. Sondheim was also an expert at playing backers' auditions, as he had done for several productions up to Follies. Sondheim could accompany himself on piano, commanding an entire room with his performance. Prince could be very pessimistic about shows just as they started becoming something great, and Sondheim was put in the role of cheerleader. The flexibility of the set design allowed for complicated cinematic effects, but the cast had a hard time keeping track of them. Prince had them all in his head. Many moments in Follies were rewritten in rehearsal during out-of-town tryouts. One of the people in the background was the orchestrator. Sondheim's trusty orchestrator, Jonathan Tunick, would orchestrate overnight, with the whole copying staff snatching pages from him as he finished them. One of the best orchestrated moments in the show is Ben's number towards the show's end, Live, Laugh, Love. The character's mental breakdown is reflected in the orchestration. The orchestra splits into two, and then three. Then all the instruments play different works. As Tunick remembers, at the end, everyone was playing a different tune. One trombone was playing Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade, another playing Gettin' Sentimental Over You. Somebody is playing Stars and Stripes Forever. Somebody else is playing Begin the Begin. Somebody else is playing the Brahms Violin Concerto. Organized chaos. It was a marvelous success, something Charles Ives would have appreciated. Let's hear this now. This performance is Ron Rainey's in 2001 Broadway production.
And I kept saying, Phil, I love you. Phil, I love you. But I only wanted her. I only wanted her till I had her. Phyllis!
production, the second most costly in Broadway history at that time, opened on April 4th, 1971 and ran for over 500 performances, but did not recoup its investment. The critics were mixed about the show. The leading New York Times critic said about Sondheim's music, "The pseudo oldie numbers sound like numbers that you have almost just forgotten, but with good reason. This non-hit parade of pastiche trades on camp, but fundamentally gives little in return." Other reviewers had better things to say. The critic at the Daily News said, "A brilliant show, wonderfully entertaining, extraordinarily intelligent, and having both a stunning direct appeal and a rare complexity of feeling and structure." And the critic at Time stated, "The frontier of American musical theater is wherever Harold Prince and Stephen Sondheim are, calling the work a daring act of creation." Thank you for joining me in this series about the life of Sondheim. If you want to learn more about the composer, an excellent biography is Stephen Sondheim, A Life by Merle Seacrest. A link to it can be found in the description box below. Like this video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more. What do you want to learn about next? Leave me a comment down below. You can also support the making of these videos on Patreon. These videos take over 20 hours of research to complete, so Patreon is a great way to show your support. The bibliography for this video can be found on my website, dominiqueroyam.com. Interested in seeing my process? I document it on my social media, so follow me for more updates. My handles are listed below. Thanks again, and see you in my next video.